Whether you're picking and grinning or just grinning, grab a drink, pull up a seat. It's time for Roots Music Rambler. Turn it up. So I've got a couple things coming up that are pretty interesting, but I think you've got a trump card on me this one. Who are you going to see here soon?
Well, as we're recording this, in just a couple days, I will finally get to see the one, the only Ms. Mavis Staples.
Nice.
Yes. So she's doing a thing here at Chicago Theater. It I believe it's like an annual thing. I know she had a show last year for her birthday. And Jeff Tweedy played, and I can't remember who else was there with her, but she's doing it again this year. And Nathaniel Rateliff is also playing with her.
Ooh.
So I get to see both of them. And I've seen Nathaniel a few times over the last, I
Yep.
don't know, 15 years or whatever. So, I know he's awesome. I'm excited to see him again, but I'm really thankful and excited to be able to see Mavis, because, she's just, what can you say about her? She's a living legend,
No
and
doubt.
I will feel so like complete having been able to see her. And there's another little backstory to this whole experience. So you guys all know about my friend Lindsay, who passed away last year. So she and her good friend Michelle went to this Mavis Staples show last year for Mavis's birthday. And they invited me, and I couldn't go for whatever reason. But they had such a good time. Michelle said she had such a good time that as soon as these tickets were announced, the show was announced, like she jumped on it. She bought tickets, and she bought two, one for her and one for Lindsay. Well, obviously Lindsay is not able to go. So Michelle months ago asked me if I would like to take Lindsay's ticket. And I said, absolutely.
Wow.
So this has been in the works for several months now. And, Michelle and I have already talked, like, she got the tickets and I get the first round of drinks and the first shot of Malort, so it's going to be, it's special to see Mavis Staples, but it's going to be like another element, right? As a way of honoring Lindsay
Oh,
and
that's great.
remembering her and what a good friend she was to the both of us.
That's fantastic. I'm so happy for you to be able to do that. And I've never seen Mavis Staples, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say after it's all over. But that's got to be freaking. I mean, talk about bucket list. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
good
for
stuff.
sure.
I actually January is a weird month for me in terms of scheduling things because it's my birthday. My birthday's on the 18th.
Yep.
And which will probably, yeah, it won't be, this will be published before the 18th, I think. But my birthday's on the 18th. And so I typically kind of don't do a whole lot during the month of January. And I don't have a whole lot of big things on the calendar. We talked about, I'm going to the Emily Scott Robinson
Mhm.
release party in February. I've got in March, I think I've got a Trampled by Turtles is coming to Richmond, Kentucky, and I'm going to that. But what I'm doing over the course of the next couple of months is I'm going to some of the local venues and seeing a lot more local artists that I really want to see, but haven't been able to for one reason or another. Like, actually, I'm going to talk about on my pick and the grinning coming up later in the show. One of the artists I'm going to try to go see in the next few weeks because they're playing here locally. But there's a bunch of folks like Smilo and the Ghost and West Ship and Nico Case is playing here in
Oh,
Louisville in a couple
Nico.
weeks. There's a bunch of Low Gap as a band I've seen once and I want to see again. East Nash Grass. There's a lot of really cool bands that are kind of coming through the Louisville, Lexington area in the next few months. And so instead of doing a big concert, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm not doing anything on Thursday night and Dirty Grass Soul is playing somewhere. So I'm going to go check them out. Right. So I'm trying to pick off some of these smaller bands that are playing the local venues to support the local venues
Sure.
and those bands as well. So I don't have a lot of big, names and lights, big shows coming up
Yeah.
until later in the spring. But man, Mavis Staples, that's big. That
Yeah,
is big.
yeah, I'm really excited, and it was funny because I kind of forgot I didn't forget about the show, but I forgot the exact date
Yeah.
of the show, and so Michelle sent me a message, a few days ago to make sure I was still in, and I was like, "Oh, yes, of course." Um, and then I remembered that I never told Tom about it, and, I mean, it's not like we have to ask each other permission to do
Sure.
stuff, but, just to give him a heads up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, um, "So, yeah, I'm doing this on Saturday, blah, blah, blah," and I explained the whole thing, and I said, "So you're cool with that, yeah?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm cool with it, and I'd be fucking pissed if you weren't going because it's Mavis fucking Staples." And
Exactly.
I was like, "Okay then. All right. Thanks for your support."
That's that's a nice, supportive, smart husband there, Tom. Good job. Well, welcome to Roots Music Rambler. She's Frank,
And he's false.
and we're rambling on through the stories behind the music we love.
Today on the show, we're talking to Hunter Park, who musically is known as the badass frontwoman for the band She Returns from War. Her songwriting through 2 studio albums has put her alongside many superlatives and has earned her recognition as one of the strongest emerging songwriters in the South.
And she has a lot to write about. Hunter is a transgender woman who is not just proud of that, but unafraid of the controversy it may bring with it in less socially adaptive communities out there. She's also on a mission to prove the point there is hope for not just LGBTQ people in the world, but in music as well.
Yes, and she is an inspiration, honestly, and I love the fact that she basically says women in country music just don't deserve a seat at the table. They made the damn table, right? And the band's single Ruthless conveys the resolve that she has to bring the change and hope to the industry.
Yeah, the lyrics of Ruthless are I want to be ruthless. I want to be the very last thing they see. It's well worth pausing the show and going to listen to that cut, though we'll play a bit of it here in a few minutes too.
So it's going to be a fun and eventful conversation, I'm sure. And then we'll also have our pick in the grin where Falls and I share our picks for music, artists, albums, songs, podcasts, whatever that are making us grin.
All that is coming up after we take a quick break to thank the fine sponsors that make this show possible. Hunter Park from She Returns from War is coming up next on Roots Music Rambler.
Tell me what you think you mean now. You're spilling terror from your teeth like you figured my intentions out. Black lightning bolts in the back of your head. I watched your ego taste my flesh to put the pieces back together, but you don't know how.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. That song is Swamp Witch from She Returns from War. The creative force behind it is the singer-songwriter Hunter Park, who joins us today on the big show. Hunter, thanks for spending some time with us. Lovely to see you again. How you been?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Same
Year.
to you.
Yeah. So I had the great pleasure of emceeing your recent show at Headliners in Louisville, opening for S.G. Goodman. I know you spent a lot of time on the road with her, and she happens to be one of our all-time favorite people, songwriters, and guests. So tell us about the tour and how it was being a lead-in for her for a bit.
So, SG and I have been known each other for a long time, not necessarily a super long time, just because I know she's been working in this industry for a really long time as well. But we became kind of fast friends through my friend Carrie Ann from Shovels and Rote because she had kind of been insistent that we had to meet. And I think the thing that me and Shayna bond over so much is just our like, she's from, rural country and so am I. And we just know things. We know things that you don't get taught. And there's a way that we teach to each other. And I am just so grateful for people like SG Goodman in an industry where things are fast changing and kind of dishonest most of the time. I think that having somebody around like SG to look up to, and also just kind of who pays attention to things, kind of is a huge, not only inspiration, but it's like a, I can do this. I can believe in myself. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm very grateful.
That is, I believe it, and that does seem very inspiring, inspirational, and we've followed both of you on social media, so we've seen the posts where you guys were, going back and forth celebrating the tour, and you kind of touched on this already about what you've learned from SG or what you took from your time on tour with her. So, what other kind of advice has she passed on to you, maybe about the industry or just in general?
Well, I know it's a thing where I think her being, like in my peer group who has been in Nashville before and is a part of my personal community, she kind of gives like a real like, picture to look at of how somebody's hard work actually does transform their career into something malleable and something that you can work with and make a decent life out of. And if you approach it with honesty and if you approach it with like the hard work that I know people put in, I mean, there's a lot of table conversation that goes into this that um consider myself lucky to have because um you know no one knows post COVID or or new administrations and how people are reacting to certain implements and technology, how things are going to go. But I do know that as she puts on an undeniable show, and that is something that I look forward to not only seeing but being a part of. And that's something that they can't really take away from anybody is just your pure sense of self and how you put that into your art form. And I am ultimately, like, I'm learning more about being a little bit more forgiving to myself as I'm, trying to figure out the changes and trying to figure out how different things work because, that's important too. You gotta keep being a student and you gotta keep learning. So
Yeah. Well, and we can't overlook the fact that even before kind of pairing up with S.G. Goodman, you were already starting to turn heads as a songwriter yourself. I've read things like you're one of the brightest stars shining in the universe of Southern American songwriters. I think was a quote I read somewhere. I'm curious, when did you start writing songs and when did you realize you had a talent for it?
I started young. I started writing when I was like 15 or 16 because I was a theater kid and I wanted to take the driver's seat rather than singing songs in like a you know theater performance. I wanted to be the whole performance because I liked every aspect of it,
Sure.
and I wanted to be hands on. I wanted to be one of those people who was like, here is the outfit choice, here is like how I'm gonna like switch from acoustic to electric, how I'm gonna implement rock and country. And um I went to Nashville for the first time when I was young, and I learned what like actually having control over your songwriting would look like. And I said that that was what I wanted to do, and it was kind of a taboo for people. There were bands that were, there were local bands you can see in Charleston, and a lot of them are, there's an amazing kind of renaissance that happened with music throughout the years with Charleston. But when I was growing up, in high school, there's band, there's theater. Um, I'm sure there are probably songwriting classes now, but I don't know. But I had to go out and learn that myself, and that was kind of where I started being, I guess, kind of ambitious and saying, I can play these open mic nights. I can play at the Commodore on West End, even though, it's technically a bar, and
Mhm.
I wasn't supposed to be there, but I think that's just kind of a common thread of my life.
Well, your music does have some pretty consistent themes too. So it what we are taking away from it is that you're giving hope to people who might be marginalized or minimized. So you're kind of taking the banner and leading the charge, and it's not something that just anyone can do. So what do you think in you, or maybe your background, gives you that confidence and even the nerve to stand up to the ignorance of a world? And you mentioned change in administration that isn't universally accepting of, marginalized people,
Right.
minimized people.
Well, today's kind of a heavy day, obviously. The news has been
Yes.
insane. And I just believe that like real change happens in living rooms. It's always been that way to me. I believe that like goodness is still like a thing that can happen. Like we deserve to look forward to like uh feeling safe and feeling accepted. And if I can put my 2 cents in on a stage, it's going to be through music because you can communicate more through that. But
Mhm.
I will say that, when I started platforming more often through artist development and playing larger stages, I noticed that the critics are always going to be there, but the critics are like, I think the critics are also trying to seek out information. So if you can give them like a, hey, I can relate in some sense, or whether it's them attaching to a melody or them saying, I never thought of it that way, then maybe. I
Yep.
mean, I I don't believe that I'm necessarily should ever be in politics. Um, but I knew that I know that I can help in the ways that I can tell people who are marginalized and who do feel kind of disconnected or unsafe in a way. You can say, "Come here. This is a show. I just turned blue." Um, and I'm in front of my big media light, but it's deciding to go haywire on me. Um, but this is mood lighting. Um, but I just want there to be a thing that I can contain is making people feel safe when they come to a She Returns from War show, and then
Mhm.
maybe inspiring people who have questions about transgender people and like what they're capable of to be like, oh, okay, she's a songwriter. And because that's all I've really ever wanted to be. But people like to
Yeah.
politicize everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just it's sad.
it is. So I want to throw this out there, and we'll see your reaction to this. So it's probably blatantly obvious that I personally can't fathom what being disenfranchised or even marginalized is like. I'm straight white male, raised Christian, et cetera, et cetera. But when I hear some of the specific stories that I've heard from folks who are transgender, LGBTQ, or even from those who are black or other races or immigrants, it makes me sick. But it also makes what you have to endure more real to me when I hear these stories. So, with that in mind, if you don't mind, for those out there who may not understand what a trans woman goes through, either as a country music singer songwriter or even in everyday life, can you maybe share an example of the kind of shit you regularly see that we just don't? Because I think that would be helpful for people to know.
Just the I think the thing that mainly I would like people to understand is that when you are making art, you do separate it somewhat from your lifestyle, from the way that you're perceived by others, because it's kind of like you're protecting this thing that you made, but you're putting it out on like a large scale to be ripped to shreds by whoever. And there's no real safety in that. And I think what I would like people to like learn as consumers of the product of music, whether it be live music, whether it be streaming, whether it be watching videos of your favorite artist, it's stop the critiques that make you make your, system fire off maybe by typing it out or something like that, and really look at the situation as a whole and see, like, there was so much more that you didn't see that goes into a production, like a video, a performance. There's people being paid. There's there's things changing hands. There's hotels being booked at 1:30 in the morning. There's cars getting broken into. And, like, say, if you really need your synapse to fire by leaving a comment that makes you feel like the king of the universe, we're already prepared for that. It's really not gonna tear us down. We are prepared for a flat tire on the Chicago highway. We are prepared for a band member to completely sleep in, and we have to drive 45 minutes to get him. Like, we're prepared for basically anything. So just bring it on, but just remember it's not going to land.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that story, and thank you for sharing that. Again, I didn't want to turn the conversation sour, but I do think it's important for those who are allies or people who could become allies to come face to face with the fact that there's not just a lot of ignorance, but hatred out there that makes no fucking sense.
You're
That
always
in 20
allowed to change every
Yeah,
day. You can
absolutely.
make a decision to say, I can be this person, or I can be a person who's looking at the situation and wanting to build rather than break down, because that's what, in the end, when people really need it, that's another thing that I wish that people would realize, I guess, is that in the end, when people really need it, when everything is stripped away, the basics are community and working together and trying to establish some kind of value system, and that really can help. And that is something that live music helps cultivate every day. But being a
Mhm.
keyboard warrior and politicizing your artists because they have a gap tooth, or you think they look like a character from a movie, or you just plain out are afraid to understand what trans people are like, that's just what you're going to have to deal with. And at the end of the day, that's your reckoning, not mine.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Well, one of the songs about having to endure that Hunter Park has written that I absolutely love is one we mentioned in the intro. I want to play a good bit of it now as we go to break. It's called Ruthless. She returns from war. Stay tuned. This is Roots Music Rambler.
These things in me that stay the course, too blinded by the vicious thought of you saying you wanted to leave. And I don't wanna come undone or find that I'm the one alone. I wanna be ruthless. I wanna be the very last thing they see, not something as useless as the man that you say that you wanted to be. Now the whole thing's on fire, and the phantoms are filling up the floors, and I feel so inspired to be the one thing that you can't ignore. I wanna be cunning, I wanna be woman, I wanna be ruthless. You don't know a thing about me. You've been denying it, just like those memories that I'm always supplying. When I drove to Nashville once, learned to cut my teeth, then maybe twice I'll go to Edgeville to forget about the way it used to be.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. There's Edgefield from the Charleston, South Carolina based band She Returns from War. Hunter Park, its founder, singer, songwriter, creative force, and such, joins us on the program today. Hunter, let's circle back to the music now. I asked earlier about songwriting, but when did music start for you, and who around you fed that interest when you were first discovering what music was and that you loved it?
So many people from the Charleston community helped build this project from what it was as a singer-songwriter to what it is now. There's various blogs like CNSC who have been like really really amazing. My friend Charles Carmody, who does all of the booking at the Charleston Music Hall, helped me figure out how to play guitar. My first ever open mics were at his house in college, and well, I guess not college. I was in high school, but everybody else was in college again. Um, but I was having fun.
Yeah.
But uh, there's a huge system of music on the East Coast, and living in Nashville now, I kind of understand that, uh, there's so many people who we used to like come. They used to play in Charleston, but it was the bands like Susto and Shovels and Brave Baby and Future Birds. Well, they're from Georgia, but who kind of started me on the road. My friend Rachel Kate Gillen, I toured with her for a year before I even started doing it on my own, and I am grateful because real experience on the road is what taught me that the live show is what I want to focus on most. So,
Nice.
Absolutely. And the community, and you've talked about that a couple times now, right? How the strength of the community, and you kind of described the community in Charleston, and having never been there, I haven't. I don't know about Jason, but I imagine it to be a sort of eclectic, welcoming type of place. Is that Would you say that's accurate? And does that hold true for the rest of South Carolina? Right. So,
right.
um, and can you take us through your path to finding that first record and success on the road?
Yeah. I was, well, the way that we set it up was I was on the road with my friend Rachel, and we were at Willie Nelson's um, house in Luck, Texas. So that actually was taking me quite far away from home. But a recording studio from Columbia was there with the festival as well, and approached me and said, "We want to do a record. Can you drive an hour and a half up?" And I said, "Of course. I've been meaning to try to put some songs out there." And that led to my first record. So then, I recorded with Wolfgang Zimmerman for the next two records after that. And all of those people now, I think, kind of work together. Um, South Carolina as a whole is such an incredible place. It's hard to be away from there, but I'm getting to go back at the middle of this month, and we're doing two really cool shows. Um, and of course, like any southern place, there's a lot of pain and a lot of conservative values that have been so protected that don't need to be protected because they're harmful to people's souls. Um, but it's a work in progress in the way that I was saying earlier. If you're starting things and you're making them in rooms, smaller rooms, and building them and building them, that you say this kind of thing gets so big that you can embrace it. And it is something that people learn from. And it's kind of rewriting history in its own way. Definitely rewriting history in its own way. Sorry about that. And it taught me that like the roots approach to music is still something that we need to focus on so much, because that's the creativity that these new technologies are not going to be able to take away from us, because it started here. It didn't start in a bot system or something like that. And people will need real at some point to recognize that their feet are still on the ground.
So, how do you write a song? Is it on paper? Do you
I
have
do.
notes like on your phone? Do you talk into it? What does
Boom.
your process look like? Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I buy the same notebook. I guess I've never really revealed that to people, but I buy the same notebook. I try to. There's other pieces of paper involved, just in
Okay.
case. But I will do I will put a finished song in here. Um,
Nice.
and I mean, of course, I utilize Notes app. I don't want it to go. I don't want it to be too far away from me. But
Yeah.
um, you know, with seeing how things are going these days, I don't want to be utilizing the technology that's out there.
Ah, understood.
Yeah.
Totally
Understood. That's
understand
fair.
that.
That's fair. I'm curious when you, I mean, I think it's fairly obvious where your, writing inspiration tends to come from, but I'm curious when you're stuck working through a song or maybe have a little writer's block or something like that. What do you do to work out of that? Do you have self-care routines? Do you listen to other music or other methods of kind of finding that zone again?
My biggest thing has always been if I'm stuck for too long, and I don't know if that's just because I'm so used to traveling now, but breaking out of this space that I've gotten really comfortable in is the a way that I get over the writer's block, because if I'm on the road, I'm seeing faces I haven't seen in a while. I'm feeling emotions that I haven't felt in like a million years, and I'm kind of reminded that, like, there's whole worlds of people that I've met on this kind of artistic journey, and I honor them all, and that just puts something in me that is like, so I want to create that way. And that's why I'm so excited for this next touring season to start. It's like, things slow down during the holidays. I have fun at the holiday parties. I get some swag. Um, but I'm ready to go back out, because when you're with your friends who are also writers and doing the same thing as you say, like, I want to be in the spaces you're in. I'll put a
Yeah.
pen to paper today.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Nice.
Well, I kind of waited to ask this closer to the end of the interview for a reason. When you were on stage here in Louisville to close out the tour with S.G. Goodman, you tipped your hand to the crowd a little bit about maybe a new album coming. So tell us about it and what can we expect to see from She Returns from War as 2026 gets underway?
Well, I moved to Nashville to make a country record, and I think I damn did the thing. Um, and we're gonna start releasing some songs soon. I'm not gonna give you my whole playbook, but I think you did experience a couple of them. I've got
Did.
some co-writes with some of my favorite country musicians that I've fallen in love with, living in their community and being embraced by them. I've worked with people that I've meant to work with for a really long time. And I'm just overall excited to say, hey, I can do the thing that, I've had to break the glass ceiling for. But at the same time, when my hands are tired from punching through all those glass ceilings, I can still make dinner, and I can still kind of, it's about nourishment, and it's about um what I've needed in this process. And I think it comes through in a pretty very realistic way. And one of those songs, I actually don't know if I've ever told SG this, but I wrote it when we were in a hotel. We were staying in a hotel in Highlands, North Carolina together, and I wrote it and I put it as the last song on the record as an acoustic ode to kind of, you know, um, what we're always figuring out as humans who are making music. So
Nice.
yeah.
Love it.
So you talked a little bit about new album, new singles, tour. So why don't you tell the folks where they can find you, all the places where they can keep up with you, the news, the music, all that good stuff.
I'm always on Instagram. I run my own Instagram. um, I'm still on every streamer because I have to be. Um, I am really horrible at email, as you guys know, so don't don't expect too much from me there. But definitely once I
Oh.
start releasing songs, I'm gonna try to put some more content out there that's special and that we can connect on. So, and then of course come to a
Love
live
it.
show.
We'll definitely make sure there's links to the show notes to all those places so people can keep up with what's coming and where they can see you and all that good stuff. Hunter, thank you so much for your music, your bravery, your badassery. We're so fortunate to have you on the show. We can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for you and the rest of She Returns from War. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
spending some
I'm so
time with
grateful
us.
for y'all. Thank you. All right.
Absolutely. Hey, stick around, everybody. The Picking the Grinning segment is coming up next. I'm going to play a cut I just love from Hunter Park, and She Returns for More as we go to break. This is Always Something. She's Hunter Park, and this is Roots Music Rambler.
sensuals. I've been a mistress to the miserable, like a banquet for the hounds I tied too tight upon my wrist. Another party in the garden, but there's no smoking in the foreign. I burn my bridges after dark, even when I stand upon them. Why does it all remain the same? Dripping in somebody else's pain. I wanna write a love song, but I don't think that I've got one. Can't pretend that it's nothing when it's always something.
Boy, oh boy! I mean, if you want some inspiration, if you want some kick in the pants, if you want some motivation, fuck, She Returns for More, Hunter Park. Holy crap! What a great time to chat with, and what a amazing talent and songwriter. And I've seen her and the band live, and you won't be disappointed. So
No, I was just gonna say, if you have a chance to see She Returns for More, don't skip on it. Not only is the music exceptional, but Hunter is freaking hilarious.
oh
I mean,
yeah,
the stories that she tells, and I remember I've seen her only once, and it's been more than a year, but I still remember the way she was talking about her mom, and it was so cute. And yeah, I can't recommend She Returns for More enough.
well, and I mentioned this in the interview, that when I walked out on stage after She Returns from War did their set at Headliners here in Louisville, when I walked out on stage to say, "Hey, you know, thanks to WFPK for sponsoring all this or presenting all this," the things you do as an MC. So I go out, and the first thing I said to the crowd was, "I want to be ruthless." Like, you hear her sing that song and the band play that song, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, what wall do I run through?" You know? It's just she's really inspirational on stage, and I love that she's brave and bold, and she doesn't give two shits about
That's
what
right.
you think. So, good go girl, go girl. So anyway, great having her on the show. Go out and see that. We got all the links in the show notes so you can get all that stuff. All right, it's time for our Picking the Grinning segment. We always wrap it up this way. This is the part of the program where Frank and I pick a song, an artist, an album, podcast, whatever, that's making us grin. It's our way of recommending stuff to you to go check out, in addition to our wonderful guest. And so, Frank, what is your Picking the Grinning for this week?
Okay, my pick in the grinning is well, a new to me artist, but one that is already experiencing some great success, right? This artist, her album is currently on the top near the top of the Americana charts. Let's see here. Yes. Oh, so maybe not so much the top, but she's in there.
She's in there.
Okay. She's in there. So the artist I am referencing is Presley Haley. So she is originally from Texas, and I heard her song Mountain Daughter.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it's called, right? Mountain Daughter. I caught it on satellite radio in the car the other day, and I was like, I really like this. Yeah, it was just one of those things. And then looking up her stuff not that long ago, and I see that her album is currently number 14 on the Americana charts.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right, I need to do a deeper dive into Presley Haley and her music. So if you're gonna give it a go, I recommend starting with Mountain Daughter. It's a really nice song. Yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah.
And
I dig it.
the Mountain Daughter, by the way, on the day that we're recording this, I've actually developed my playlist for Appalachian Echoes. It's actually the second song I'm playing on Saturday, the week we're recording this. So
Look at that. We didn't even coordinate.
nope, didn't know that at all. And as Frank said, Off to Find a Sunny Day is the name of her latest album. It is 14 on the Americana Music record charts, album charts this week as we're recording this. So good stuff there from Presley Haley. So check that out. We'll make sure there's links to all that in the show notes, as well as to my pick of the grinning this week. And I have reached the point in my life where I don't remember if I've already said this. So if this is a repeat pick in the grinning, my apologies, but double down on this one because I am. And that is a guitar player, singer, songwriter, and band leader by the name of Shelby Lohr. I first ran into Shelby when I went to see Bill Taylor and the Appalachian Heathens play at the Mountain Arts Center, the MAC, in Prestonsburg, Kentucky, a couple of months ago. The middle act, because Emily Jamerson was the opener, and the middle act was Jordan Lee King. And Jordan Lee King, who is also fantastic, by the way, had this amazing, blistering lead guitar player. So much so that after the show was over, Jordan's over at the merch table, and I'm like, where's the guitar player? I need to meet this kid. And it just so happened that he and his dad, about the time I was looking for him, they walked out from backstage, and it was Shelby Lohr. He's from Olive Hill, Kentucky, which is up in northeast Kentucky, not too far from Moorhead, Kentucky, where I went to school, Moorhead State University. But Shelby is a blistering guitar player, kind of rock blues guitar player. And the Shelby Lohr Band has a new cutout called Memphis, which is very good and worth listening to. And I hear tell that might be leading into an album coming up later this year. I'm super excited to get out and see him again live with his band rather than playing guitar for Jordan Lee King. They're playing a couple shows, Lexington, Charleston, Huntington, and one in Louisville here in the next few weeks. So I'm super excited to get out and see him. So the Shelby Lohr Band is worth checking out. The new single is called Memphis. They're on all the streamings places and stuff like that. So we'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to that. So check it out if you like blues rock guitar mixed with a little Appalachia country influence. Good shit.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. And I'm laughing as you were saying, that you can't remember if you've already mentioned this artist. That is what goes through my head every time I have to make a pick for Picking the Grinnin'. I'm like, did I already? It's a shame. We should have somebody to keep track of this stuff for us.
Well, in a way, I
Can we
kind
get
of
an intern?
in a way I kind of do, but you're right. I need to probably just make a list in a spreadsheet and keep adding to it so we don't duplicate effort. But you know what? If we do duplicate effort, it's because we like them twice as much. So
I mean, yes, we can look at it that way too.
you can't go wrong with who we recommend. You just can't. And if we recommend it twice, then it's what you didn't see him the first time. What's wrong with you? Go. Let's go. Anyway. All right. We're getting slap happy. Hey, you know what? We appreciate all of you being here this late in the show because we know we get slap happy and maybe it's amusing and funny, but we're glad you stuck around to this point because we enjoy being here. So
absolutely.
Roots Music Rambler is a production of Falls and Partners, copyright 2026. Our theme music is Sheepskin and Beeswax by Gentacorum. Join us online at rootsmusicrambler.com and be sure to mash that subscribe or follow button hard so you remember to join us for the next hoedown and throwdown. She's Frank.
Peace Falls.
And whatever you do, kids, ramble on.